all, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time since I've been on here, and that's just because I had so much to do. It's my senior year in high school, so I had a lot of events to attend to and things to get done. But since everything has slowed down, I'm getting back into the swing of things by posting this video, which is going to be a part 3 to my most famous series, my Whole Foods series. But in this video, I'm basically going to be answering all of your frequently asked questions. I know I see all of your questions in the comments, and if I hadn't gotten to your question yet, then I'm really sorry. I should have gotten to everyone though, but y'all did ask a lot of good questions, and I did tell y'all that I was going to be making a video answering those in more depth. So here this is, but before I get into that, I wanted to make an announcement. As y'all know, this channel is very random, so I wanted to let you know what kind of videos that I am going to be making in the future, and those include a prom get ready with me, if I can figure out how to do that. I know a lot of you guys have seen them on YouTube and they look so good, but I'm trying to be more comfortable in myself and how I look on camera, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm thinking about doing a prom get ready with me, a graduation get ready with me, or after party, whatever. And then I'm definitely going to do some college videos, like college dorm tour, decorating thing, but you'll definitely be able to see a lot of those videos in the future. But just wanted to make that announcement for you guys. So let's get started. Let's get into this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is prime shopping at Whole Foods. You guys were asking a lot of questions about what it's like to be a prime shopper, how do prime shoppers and Whole Foods workers interact with each other. So I'll start off by saying that prime shoppers are part of Amazon. So they're hired by Amazon and they work through Amazon. I am a Whole Foods worker. I'm a Whole Foods cashier or part of the store support team. So we do interact a lot, and actually the cashiers do prime shopping sometimes, but it's not the same. The prime shoppers hired through Whole Foods, they have their own separate phone, their own separate login information. They have different orders, how they deliver, pick up, drop off orders. So it's a completely different process. If you want to be just a prime shopper, then you need to sign up through Amazon. But it's not like you're gonna be, I don't know, outcasted. At least at my store, you're not really outcasted. You're looked at as one of the regular cashiers, or you know, a worker at Whole Foods. I can say sometimes, I guess I can see like how people in different departments get kind of annoyed, because as a prime shopper, when we're out of stock, you have to get a code to scan if we don't have the item. And so when prime shoppers keep asking for that code, you can kind of tell that, you know, people in different departments are like, oh my gosh, they keep asking me for this code. But it's something that they have to get. But if you just want to be primarily, like I said, a prime shopper by itself, then you need to apply through Amazon. So, segue into my next point. What is the job description of my job, a Whole Foods cashier? So I'm a Whole Foods cashier, but that doesn't just mean that I'm a cashier. I basically do everything. So the real title that I should go by is store support. So I'm a part of store support, which means I literally do every single specialty. So in Whole Foods, we have different, you know, specialty areas. So we have bakery, the meat department, specialty, which is like cheese and wine, charcuterie stuff. And then we have seafood, produce, grocery, floral, all kinds of different departments. And as a store support team or as a cashier, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to go into different departments. Now, I've actually been in every single department except, I think, meat. Yeah, so I've never been in the meat department, but I hear it's a lot like seafood, which I've been in the seafood department before. But out of all of them, my favorite is the seafood department, just because it's so hands-on. It's more hands-on than everything else. It kind of mixes that cashier aspect and also like, I don't know, like cooking, hands-on. I don't know. It's really cool. Basically, as a seafood manager or worker, I guess, you just, weigh out and measure the fish or whatever the customer is ordering, and you wrap it especially how they want it. Not really especially, but like how it's supposed to be wrapped. You have like different wrappings for like different things. Like some fish come in just the brown wrapping, the brown Whole Foods wrapping, but if you have oysters or mussels, they come in like a bag. And then some things, like I think cod, will be in the bag and then wrapped with the brown wrapping. But not only do you get to do that and touch all the different kinds of fish, which is interesting to me since I want to be a doctor, but you also get to like season and cook food for the customer if they request that. I actually haven't had the opportunity to do that yet because I haven't been specifically trained for that, but I'm hoping that I do get trained for that so that I can come back and report to you guys about how that was. But if you have any more questions about any of the other departments, please let me know in the comments, and I can either make a separate video or answer you guys' questions then and there. So the next thing I want to get into is from a comment that I made in my previous video. I was talking about how in the application, in that like questionnaire that they give you right after you apply to Whole Foods, they ask you all these kinds of questions to determine how pliable you are to the workforce at Whole Foods, because it's a bit different than it is really anywhere else. It's a lot more demanding, but they aren't looking for people who are perfectionists, and also on the other end, they're not looking for people who are lazy. So that's what I wanted to get into. One of my best interview tips if you're applying to Whole Foods: when you're filling out that questionnaire, try not to answer the questions too perfectly, but also don't answer the question, for lack of a better word or lack of a better phrase, the wrong way. Don't be lazy with your answers, but also don't say the right thing every single time, because what they're trying to do, and what I've heard from a manager at my store, is that they are trying to weed out the perfectionists and weed out the lazy people. So please be sure to kind of be that middle ground. I made sure on my application or on that questionnaire that I was kind of in the middle, but leaning towards that perfectionist tier, not reaching it per se, but kind of like the next one down for most of the questions. But yeah, next I wanted to get into the COVID precautions. So Whole Foods, as you guys probably know, are taking a lot of precautions dealing with coronavirus and how it's affecting our store. There have been a lot of changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is the mask mandate, and that has changed a bunch. I know at my store it used to be everyone had to wear a mask, and then it changed to people can be medically exempt, but they would have to have someone come shop in the store for them. But then customers who were medically exempt would raise hell, and we had to change that to you could come into the store as long as you had your temperature checked or whatnot. I never really understood that, because I personally believe that there's no way you can fully trust someone is telling the truth. And also, my doctor told me there shouldn't be any kind of medically exempt person, because everyone should be able to wear either a face mask or a face shield, which was one of our options. So that was that. They did change that. So with our paid time off situation, this was one of the most interesting things about the changes that were made because of COVID. If you are an employee and you catch COVID, then you do get 2 weeks of paid time off. And this does not exclude anybody. So even if you don't have any paid time off, and if your position, like if you're part-time and you can't accumulate any paid time off until a certain amount of time, you still get that 2 weeks of paid time off. I guess because we are essential workers and we're at high risk for COVID, but that is only for one time. So you can only get that, at least at my store, for one time per person. But I hear that if you are near someone who has COVID or in close contact with them, then you do have to go on that 2 weeks with them. So not only is the person who has COVID going on that 2 week paid time off period, the other people that they were around are also being quarantined. Now, if the person who they were around already had COVID and already had their paid time off, are getting extra paid time off, I'm not sure yet, but if you guys are curious about that, I can ask and let you guys know in another video or in the comments below. Another thing I wanted to talk about in accordance to that is our bonus. If you are working at Whole Foods and you have your COVID vaccine, I guess this is something that they just started. You get $40 bonus for your first shot and $80 for your second shot. So you can get up to $80 in bonus for getting your vaccine as a Whole Foods worker. So another thing I wanted to talk about is the hiring process and how the hiring process works. So this kind of goes back to the interview type thing, but basically Whole Foods will hire most of their people during the holidays. So around Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, that's when they're hiring the bulk of their people because those are our busiest times. And then usually around New Year's is when they start dropping people for whatever reason. But it usually relies on your dependability, your behavior, stuff like that. So if you're always on time, if you're dependable, if you have good behavior, then I'm sure you won't have to worry about anything. So now to my favorite part. This is my 6-month update. I have been working at Whole Foods for about 5.5, 6 months now, and I'm going to give you guys my 6-month update. I love Whole Foods. I think it's a great job. I definitely would not recommend it for someone in high school. I'm in high school and I'm a senior in high school. I go to a prestigious high school, so we have a lot of work. So not only do I have to do school for 8 hours a day, right after school, I have to go to work and work for another 5 to 6 hours. And Whole Foods, you know, it's an easy job, but it's not one of those jobs where you can easily slack off. They demand the most out of their employees, but they are also very rewarding. So I have nothing to complain about in that aspect. My experience has been very good. They usually listen to my concerns if I have any, and actually, you know, they make reform. They do help put me in the places that I would prefer to be in, or try not to put me in the places that I don't want to be in. And if they do, it's not for long. So for example, my least favorite specialty is produce. So I told them that, and they made sure not to put me in produce. And if they do put me in produce, which sometimes they're going to need someone to go there, they don't leave me there for a long time, which is a great aspect. Another thing is, my favorite thing to do would be maintenance. Maintenance is just, you know, housekeeping, making sure the store is clean. And I particularly love maintenance because it's such an easy job. It's a laid back job. You don't have to deal with customers all day, one-on-one. So, you know, and they put me on maintenance almost every single time I go to work. But I will say this, in my experience, and I guess this is because I told them that in one of my, like, you know, weekly interviews or bi-weekly interviews, I like to be placed in different specialties every day. So I don't want to come to work and be doing the same thing every single time. So like having to cashier every single day, it kind of gets boring, old to me. So I kind of told them that, and they really did made sure that I was put in a different specialty every time I came to work, pretty much. I mean, of course, not every day I was in my favorite specialty or in a different specialty, but I was very frequently, you know, put around the store. So I have experience in almost every single department. So I can say that is a pretty big plus to me. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the PLUs. I got good at the PLUs, I would say a good month after I began working at Whole Foods. And I really didn't have to study them. When you are at the cashier area, either if you're bagging for someone or you're ringing people up, you're gonna see the same fruits and vegetables each time. Even if you don't see them that often, the ones that you don't see that often, you remember the most. Like star fruit. I don't see star fruit that much, but I promise you, I see cucumber every day, and I will put in the star fruit PLU for the cucumber, even though I see the cucumber every single day. So, you know, it's stuff like that that kind of builds on you. And, you know, I'm learning things every day. I'm learning about new fruits and vegetables every single day, but it really does get easier. And since I've been working here for 6 months, I kind of feel like an expert, not gonna lie. But it's still something that you have to get used to and you have to be confident in. And if you don't know the answer, you can't be afraid to look in your booklet or ask a manager or someone else who may know. So that's also a plus. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about some of the cons at Whole Foods, and that's gonna involve the dress code and the inconveniences within the dress code. And I know this may not be a worry to many of you, but this is for the people who do have issues with stuff like this. So the only reason this is an issue is because in the beginning it wasn't an issue. It just, you know, people started using Whole Foods policies and then they changed them. So for example, the mask. All Whole Foods employees have to wear a Whole Foods mask, at least at my department or at my store. And this is because at my store, there was this person who kept wearing an inappropriate mask to work, and they finally cracked and told all employees they had to wear a specific mask. But the problem with the mask that I'm wearing is that the one that for Whole Foods is super thick, and it's really hard to breathe in it. But since now we have the double masking, even though I'm vaccinated, I still want to wear like 2 masks, but I don't want to do a surgical plus a surgical mask. I want to do a surgical mask and a cloth mask, but the only mask I can wear is the Whole Foods mask, even though I wish I could wear one of my masks. But it's not that big of a deal to me. I just wear the mask anyway. You know, it's just one of those things you kind of have to put up with. Another thing I don't like about the dress code is the fact that we can't wear, or we can't express ourselves that much through clothing. So we can't wear anything that like has any, you know, wording on it, any lettering. Even if my shirt had my initial on it, it would be out of dress code. Or if I wore a head wrap, the head wraps are not in dress code unless they have a Whole Foods label on it. So I just don't think that's cool, but I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. If you really want to work at Whole Foods, it's just something you're gonna have to put up with, and something that I put up with. So, and the last thing I'm gonna talk about in this video is the free drinks and free meals on holidays. So every single holiday, pretty much, we get like free meals. So on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, Valentine's Day, we had like sweets. On Easter, Whole Foods generally provides meals, and I just think that's so cool. I know one time we had Jim and Nick's, Moe's, Zoe's Southwest. So I know a lot of the times that they'll provide meals for you, and that's good if you don't like bringing your own lunch, or if you want to eat at work, if it's easily accessible for you. I just think that's really nice, and it's showing appreciation to the employees very well. And you know, it's just a nice gesture. Going along with that, we also get free drinks. Now sometimes this will be sporadic, so you know, just one day Amazon will be like, give all the Whole Foods employees free drinks, and we just give free drinks, and that's really cool. But also sometimes it'll be, you know, if you're working late, then you're gonna get free drinks. And I know even sometimes if you're working late doing inventory, you'll get free meals too. I know one time some of my coworkers got free Chick-fil-A, which was so nice. Unfortunately, I can't do inventory overnight because I am in high school, and they don't allow high schoolers who work at Whole Foods, or I think pretty much anywhere, to do overnight shifts. So guys, that's it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, like I said, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you want to see another Whole Foods video, let me know. Or if you want to see any other kind of video, please let me know that as well. I'd love to answer you guys' questions. Please like if you liked this video, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.